Don't relax, don't worry, you look great.
No.
Don't tell me that.
You still need a good phone call, right?
Huh?
You still need.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Making the Grade with Dr. Wagner. I am Dr. Truett Wagner, and as always, we have a great show for you. We have Miss Linda Rivera from CUNY, who is working hard on behalf of the disabled population. We also have a super talented student, Devon Sauls, and he is going to talk to us about his artwork and a series of great characters he has created. We will also go to Macaulay Honors and speak to Anthony Massa, a young CUNY scholar who is using all of his talents and skills to benefit the autistic community via the theater. Okay, our first guest is a CUNY LEADS Specialist at the City University of New York on the City Tech campus. She has a BA from SUNY New Paltz and the Master of Science in Education from Hunter College, which is my alma mater. She was one of the very few scholars who was picked to join the OASIS, Office of Alcoholism and Substance Abuse Services internship program. Hello, Linda.
Hi, Truett.
Thank you for being on the show, and of course, you look beautiful as always.
Thank you for having me, Dr. B.
Now, you went to an all-girls high school, or what was it?
I went to an all-girls school, and it was an all-girls high school, and it was located in Manhattan, so it was about 1,000 girls in one school. I got a scholarship there. It was called Be a Student's Friend, and basically you had to have a certain GPA, you had to have a certain extracurricular activities, and you had to apply for the scholarship, and I was fortunate enough to get it. And it was a process that was fun, you know, while I was there, you know, all girls, you know, we actually became a family, and it was actually one of those experiences that I will take with me till this day. And I'm happy to say that a lot of the girls that I became friends with are still my friends today.
Oh,
so it was like
great.
a sisterhood.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and then you went into college, and if I understand this correctly, you were the first generation graduate for your BA and your MA, is that correct?
Yes, first generation. So I am the oldest of 3 daughters.
Okay.
Yes.
And now are you, to your little cousins come running up and, oh, Aunt Linda,
Well, actually,
nieces and nephews? And
I actually have 2 sisters. I have 2 youngest sisters. I'm happy to say that my middle sister is actually pursuing a degree in occupational therapy, which also has to do with a lot with helping those who are the differently abled. And then I have a younger sister who actually graduates now in May for her 4-year degree from Syracuse. So we're very excited for that.
Okay,
yes.
good. Okay, well, before we jump into what you're doing today, you know, I always have to ask people, going to an all-girls school, then going, and you lived in a dorm, right? Or did you lived away, you went to SUNY?
Well, yes, I lived in a dorm in SUNY, yes.
And did you go completely crazy and wild?
You know what, Troy? I was actually too scared to do anything because, you know, in an all-girls school, we were so strict. And when I got to an environment that was co-ed, like, I didn't really branch out until maybe my junior year where I felt comfortable on campus. But I was always too afraid to do anything because, you know, I was afraid of campus police. You know, I didn't want to upset anybody. I was afraid of my parents even showing up on campus, you know, unannounced and finding me doing something that I wasn't supposed to be doing. So I would say it was the transition was a little bit difficult at first and challenging because I had to get used to the new environment. But by junior year, my 3rd year, you know, I became very comfortable with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and now, again, you always did want to work with the disabled population.
Yes, I did.
Okay, but now you started out with, what was it, speech pathologist?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
so my initial goal was to be a speech pathologist because I knew I wanted to work with the you know, in special education, but at that time I thought that the only way I can work with individuals with disability was maybe in an elementary school setting. So I was that was my goal, was speech pathology at first, but then I started to learn that there were other things that I can do.
Okay, so you're a CUNY LEADS counselor.
Yes, I am.
And the acronym for CUNY LEADS is Linking Employment, Academic and Disability Services.
Yes, it is.
And what do you like about this job, other than you obviously get to work with me, but you know.
Right? You know, yeah, you are one of my colleagues, so yes, of course, that's always a privilege.
For me, maybe, but yeah.
For me, I personally, I am very passionate in working with individuals with disability or have differences, are differently abled. For me, the most gratifying part of this job is just being part of that journey and giving students that confidence to let them know that they can excel. So that's what I most enjoy about my current role as a LEADS advisor, and helping them achieve their goals. You know, that is, to me, that's instrumental, and it keeps me going. And, you know, when they come back and they feel so good about themselves, that's what, you know, keeps me going every day. And every day that I go into work is 100%.
I think so too.
Yes.
So we're going to meet one of your students coming up soon, and I've
Yes.
seen his artwork. It is amazing.
It is
I'm so
amazing.
excited
He's
about
talented,
showing this his audience this artwork and getting him some exposure. But we'll focus on him in a little bit. But
Okay.
what do you think makes a successful student? And this, of course, could mean, you know, within the disabilities office, within, you know, business major, art major, yeah, just in
Okay.
general.
Well, I think that from my experience, what I've seen is that once students believe that, you know, whether it be a counselor, it can be a parent, it can be a teacher, it can be a family member, that a student has the confidence or somebody believes in them. I think that that is so major. And then for them to kind of have someone to guide them, and for them to believe that they have that confidence to actually achieve their goals, I think that that really makes a student successful. And in CUNY or any other school, I think that sometimes students forget all the resources that are available to them, and they don't utilize them. And then I think that my role as a counselor is to let them know, here, you can do this, you can do that. There are so many different things that you can do, and sometimes I think that there's just a lack of knowledge. And once they have that confidence, it really helps them to get to that next step.
Thank you very much for that. I think a lot of people will enjoy that answer. I think it was very well said. But now I do want to talk a little bit about you.
Okay.
Because you also do some volunteer work too. Now, what is it? When I was doing my homework on you, and I never knew this about you, but you were doing what is it? The broom.
It's called the bottomless closet.
Bottomless closet. Okay, I was going to call it the. I'm sorry, I was going to call it the broom closet.
No, the bottomless
closet. Okay.
So the bottomless closet is an organization that is is primarily for women, for low-income women. Or you don't even have to be low income, but if you're a woman who is trying to get her career back on track, if you're a woman who is in need of getting back into the professional field in terms of work, this organization is amazing in just helping you in getting your tools ready when it comes to professional attire, resume, workshops, cover letters. But my role there, basically, I usually try to volunteer at least once a month, and I'm kind of like a stylist for the ladies when they're going on their interviews. So, you know, they get anywhere from a two-piece suit to accessories, even like undergarments, shoes, and it's usually brand new clothing that people donate, or the organization can have enough funds to purchase. So, you know, it's just amazing what a good outfit does for a woman who's getting ready to get her life back on track.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And I also hear that you made the statement one time.
Okay.
Looking good means feeling good.
Yes.
Okay, but then you also do support Alicia Keys in her, now what is it now with Alicia Keys? Her no makeup project?
Well,
what is it, a no makeup stance?
Well, Alicia Keys is having this big campaign now. It's called the No Makeup campaign. You know, she believes that, you know, women, not even women so much, or, you know, anyone can be dressed up in makeup. And sometimes when these individuals take off their makeup, they don't feel the same as what that makeup does for them. You know, makeup was made to enhance someone's beauty, not to identify them. So I always, you know, I believe that message. I believe in less is more. You should always feel as good as you look, for my personal opinion. And that makes all the difference, I feel.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, that's a very good note to end this segment of our interview. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Truett, so much for having me.
Okay,
It was
well,
a
you're
pleasure.
not going anywhere just yet. Just sit tight. We have your student to interview
Oh,
first.
yes, we do, Mr. Sauls. Yes, we do.
Okay, thanks, Linda. And when we come back to the studio, we will be joined by the one and only Devon Sauls, and he is going to discuss his artwork. I'm so excited about having him on the show. I tell you, I know he's got a great future ahead of him. I know he will win world acclaim for this. Yes, but for the time being, let's meet Anthony Massa. He is a Macaulay Honors Scholar. One of the many things I love about doing this show is that what we advocate and promote is all aspects of a better and positive life. for people who are disabled or otherwise for that matter. We didn't find this young man in the disability offices. He is just giving his time and effort back very eagerly through the theater and through future scholarship and research within the autistic community.
Amazing.
So let's see what Anthony Massa has going on for himself. And we took this footage at the Macaulay Honors Building, which was very, very pretty, a beautiful building. But let's hear what he's got to say. And yeah, we'll be back in a few minutes. So now, when did you get interested in the theater?
I started in the theater back when I was 10 years old, and I was never really into theater, but my neighbor was in a production of Footloose at my local grammar school.
Right.
And so my mom and my brother, they both took me to see the show, and I was watching in awe. And he had the best time. He was up there singing his heart out. He was dancing. He looked like a fool, but he had a great time doing it. And I turned to my mom and I said, I want to try that next time. And she said, are you sure? Because I was into soccer, I was into basketball, and baseball. I was doing every sport under the sun. But she let me try out next year, and I went in at 10 years old, this little short, chubby kid singing Happy Birthday because that was the only song that I knew. And
So for your audition of Guys and Dolls, you sang Happy Birthday?
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah.
And for me, with theater, it was kind of like my therapy in a way. And I loved going on stage and just expressing myself, so that way I can give the audience something that, to me, felt beautiful to put on. You know?
Well, that kind of leads into your double major, because you are a double major.
In theater and dramatic arts. In dramatic arts and psychology.
Psychology. When did you get interested in psych?
I wanted, when I became a freshman in the Macaulay program, I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be in the pre-med program. And so I was hearing from my advisor that people that don't major in biology or chemistry or like the technical sciences, medical schools are looking for people that are more well-rounded.
Well, yes.
And so they want to see people that major in psychology, that major in music, that major in anthropology, whatever they'd like. And so I said, psychology is studying people. I was dealing with people of all different backgrounds and all different, like you said, anxiety levels backstage, that learning how people think and how they process what's around them, it was amazing to me, and so I wanted to study that. I actually wasn't going to apply to Macaulay at one of my first choices. I wanted to go to school for theater, and of course you hear the parents and the grandparents saying, no, don't go into theater. It's not a good business. It's a 1 in a million shot. You'll make it to Broadway. So I had my reservations. And Macaulay is just amazing. It's like a bang for your buck.
Yes.
It's a great program. It has great facilities, great faculty members. You have access to all 8 campuses, and it's just And like I said when I was answering your questions before, that you have a community at your local campus, the College of Staten Island, and then you also have your Macaulay community.
Right.
So it's kind of a 2-in-1.
Right.
During my gap year between now
and that's a nice way of putting it. It's a gap year.
A gap year before, in between college and then applying for grad schools, I wanted to audition. I wanted to take classes. I take tap classes and some modern dance over at Broadway Dance Center. I wanted to, take those classes, to audition, to intern, to work in the theater industry, just try different outlets and do whatever I could, and at the same time work on applying for those grad schools, because if I were to jump into the grad school application process now while I have so many things going on, I feel like it wouldn't be given as much attention as it deserves.
Now, in your case, you are in New York City. Okay, you have this great Macaulay Honors. This building is amazing. You have your own screening room here. However, as you know, this show is seen all over America, on the internet. And so let's say you have somebody out there who is 15 or 16, in middle America, in a very rural area, that really does want to get involved in theater. Okay, and they just don't have the options of jumping on a ferry from Staten Island to Manhattan. What advice? And I know that this is a throw at you question there, but but what would you tell that person?
I mean,
whoever he or she may be.
For me, it was just, if I could go back and tell my younger self what to do, I would say try everything. And don't be afraid to use what's around you and talk to the people around you and just get to know people and make connections, because that's what it's all about. And just make one just step by step. Don't think about the big picture because then it's scary and it's going to intimidate you. But think about, make small goals for yourself, time management, make sure you know what you're doing, and if you can make it to a class or two, try that out. Like try different things out. Try and make sure that you know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and try and work on those weaknesses. And especially in this industry, never, if somebody tells you no, you need to not ignore it, but more like, don't take no as an answer.
Right.
You need to keep going and keep moving because you are so unique and so special that no one can tell you otherwise. And so you need to keep trying.
What is it, you're very interested in autism.
Yes.
You know, autism, quickly, what by your definition, because we have so many different definitions
There's
going
so many
on
out there.
About autism, what as we move into you explaining this great thesis you've got with Macaulay Honors, what by your definition is autism?
Well, based on my studies in psychology, with all the classes that I've taken, it's defined as a developmental disability that has two components. It includes social communication deficits and also restricted interests or behaviors. So it's those two different components. And social functioning deficit, but mostly because with the students that I've worked with in Project REACH, which is with a professor of mine, Kristen Gillespie Lynch, it's a program that helps students that are on the spectrum get acclimated to college and then further their careers with lessons in how to build a resume, interview skills, how to dress for the interview. And so with that and interacting with them, they have such amazing intellect and they can comprehend things that I could not comprehend in my wildest dreams. We were talking before about Pokemon and anime and specific interests in sometimes in theater. And I have students that want to be actors. They know so much about their craft and their specific interest. But in regards to social deficits, that's where there are more difficulties because you can tell eye contact is a difficulty, maintaining a conversation, maybe trailing off on long tangents or not speaking at all is kind of a big deficit with that. But yeah, so I would say it's more on the side of social
and also
deficit. It all started, I read a couple of articles about how people that have a first-hand exposure to autism, for example, having a close relative like a brother or a mother or sister, they have more open, or their openness is more than some if they knew an acquaintance with autism. And so what I thought was theater being kind of the most visually and most powerful exposure techniques that we have here in arts. I wanted to see if using an art form or like a performance piece could affect how open we are, or how, and if we increase openness, maybe it can decrease stigma according to how people view autism and how people view individuals with autism, because there's so much stigma out there and there's so many stereotypes that hinder what people can do, and I want to kind of open those doors. Right. Yeah, in previous research, it's been shown that social sciences, or those involved in the social sciences, have more of an openness or an awareness of autism, and that those in the STEM fields, that they have less of an awareness, and they may be aware of more stereotypes. And I was really curious by that, and the reason why I may have thought that this division was happening was because in the social sciences, to me, it's a very creative environment. Everything's open, and you get to learn about different backgrounds and where people come from. And in the social sciences is psychology and theater. And in those topics, you're introduced to disorders, disabilities, autism. You're introduced to all of these things, so you're more aware, and you're more aware of what's going on. And because those sciences are more social in aspect, then with social deficits that are involved with autism, it's hard to really people are more aware of autistic students around them because it's harder for them to be more social in those environments. In regards to the STEM field, we were talking before about how those with autism have a higher intellect, or have large intellectual capacities. And so people may not be aware of the students around them having autism because everyone is so driven and focused in their field that they want the best out of what they're doing.
And also the STEM, which is science, technology,
engineering,
and math. A lot of those people, as opposed to in the behavioral sciences, are not as interactive themselves.
Exactly.
So they really, as you say, they're not aware, but they also might not be aware of who's sitting beside them.
Exactly. I believe for a long-term goal, I want people to see because they're real stories that I'm using and the real stories that I'm putting on stage. I want people to maybe just overall become more aware of what's out there and what stigma and stereotypes are out there, because they're around us completely. And we may not be aware because we just don't know what's going on. And so I want people to come into the space, to see these actors in their craft, to enjoy the performance, and just to feel something. Because for me, theater it's a euphoric experience, and I get to dive into the deepest parts of my psyche, and I get to put on a new character, and I get to feel empathy for that character and go through what they've been through. And I want my actors to do the same. I want it to be a completely free space where they get to explore themselves, explore these characters, because that's what's going on. Or not necessarily characters, more like I want them to explore the stories that are being presented in front of them, and I want them to be truthful and just to be themselves. And hopefully by the end we'll see that people will be more aware of what's going on around them, and to maybe work toward a more hopeful future, a more accepting future, something where we can look around and be more accepting of everyone around us.
Now let's meet one of the most promising young artists in New York City. Devon Sauls is here with us. He is a communication design major at City Tech, a sophomore, and I'm excited to meet this young artist. He is an excellent student, and I have no idea he will do groundbreaking artwork and earn acclaim for it. Hello, Devon.
Hi.
How are you?
Pretty excited. I mean, I'm a little nervous, but excited at the same time.
Well, being a little nervous is okay. Let's just jump right into the interview, okay?
All right.
All right, so now listen, I understand it correctly. Communication design, okay? Now that's not studio art, that's not fine art. What exactly is that?
It's more like graphic design for the most part. But there are some illustration and animation classes as well.
Right. I mean, well, you're a great illustrator. We've got some here for you. We're going to show the whole world your illustrations in a few minutes. But for now, we want to talk about you. When did you first get interested in art?
That happened when I was like 7 years old, back when I was in first grade. At first, my drawings were like all done in simple shades, but then like in second grade, I decided to self-teach myself of how to draw better. I mean, I started off doing it with Sonic the Hedgehog, but then like over time I developed a passion of drawing people.
Well, I saw that, yes, absolutely. And inspiration. These illustrations are great. Yeah, where do you get your inspiration from?
Video games such as Sonic the Hedgehog, as I previously stated, and also shows for Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon back in the 90s to early 2000s.
Wow.
Okay. Now you are one of Miss Linda's students there at City Tech. Okay.
Right.
Now, what is your disability?
Autism spectrum disorder.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about these illustrations you sent us. I see some of these, and we'll blow these up. You know, one that I really did like was Xavier J. Clayton, the brains of the group.
Yeah. He's basically a character that is like, he's smart, but like he does have his insecurities and flaws. Like he can be like very self-conscious, and he doesn't like talk as much as most other smart characters would. Yeah, he doesn't always show it, but he does actually genuinely care about his friends and family.
Of course, yes.
Just like I do.
Chelsea L. Norwood. Now, she's the tomboy of the group, and she's sassy and feisty, 15-year-old. Tell us a little bit about this character.
I wanted to give her a simple design, but thinking of her as a character, that was kind of hard to do, because I was like, I have very little information about tomboys.
Yeah, but hey, listen, it says here fried chicken. She likes fried chicken, hamburgers, carrot cakes. Yeah, very fun character. She also enjoys gymnastics. I love the way you give all of these characters such unique and very thought out personalities. Yeah, so the sign
Yeah,
of
because I wanted my characters to feel real and alive and not just like two-dimensional.
I think that's a very good point there. You want them to feel like they're alive. Another one, Jason Little. Now, is it Little or Little L-I? How do you say it? Jason Little.
Lil.
Yeah, Little. Little J. Jason Lil J. Martinet?
Yeah.
Okay. Shepherd of the group.
Basically a cartoon version of my friend Jason Maldonado.
Is Jason
Gave
watching
him
the
a
show?
shout-out.
But I love it. I love the way you're doing it. He's a basketball player, is it? Or did you just, yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's into basketball.
Okay, great. Do you have plans to continue as an artist?
Yeah, I do. I was planning on making a comic book out of them. It's also a bit of a slice of life into the mix as well because because you got to remember they're only teenagers and they don't actually have everything figured out.
Yeah, that's a very good point. They're still figuring things out themselves. I want to leave it with, what advice do you have for incoming students, incoming freshman students entering college? What kind of advice can you give people to be a very good student like you?
If there's someone out there like trying to talk you out of doing something that you absolutely love, don't listen to them because that would be a detriment to full potential.
Well, we're out of time, and as always, we had fun and learned a lot. I can't thank all my guests enough for coming on and sharing their stories with us. I'm looking forward to seeing Anthony Massa again. We really have to appreciate that young man's drive and determination and give him so much respect for the creative research he is doing. Devon, you are a true artist, and I can't wait to see your first gallery in Soho, or buy your first comic book, or see your first major animated picture in motion picture in 3D. And thanks, Linda.
Thank you.
Please check us out on Facebook. And what can I say? I love doing this show. I love interviewing my colleagues like Linda and meeting great young New York talent like Devon. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. Until then, check us out, and we'll be back. Okay.